with another book study. Actually, this is our last book study of the month, and I'm so excited to share with that we've completed our second book of the year. First month up in January, we did Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think for those of you who participated in that study, some of you guys have read this book in the past, and some of you guys are reading this book for the first time. I definitely think we've gained a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge around the area of habits and how important habits are to our success. And not only that, we also learned how important habits can be if we approach them in smaller increments and we focus on getting incrementally better. This month, we're wrapping up You Owe You by Dr. Eric Thomas. I want to say thank you guys again for participating in this book study with us. I think this book also gives us a different perspective on success and how we can achieve success and how we can go about looking for success and how we go about obtaining success. Man, I think this Dr. Eric Thomas lays out his story pretty eloquently for us to understand what struggles that he went through, what adversity he faced, and the things that he was up against, as far as how we can look at our lives and go, he can do it, we can do it too. But just want to say thank you guys. This is an incredible milestone for us. Again, I think I've belabored this point a lot, but I'll say it again. Haven't been the biggest reader in the past. I think that's something I definitely wanted to change this year. And I believe I'm well ahead of where I've been the last few years, particularly in the amount of books that I read in a year's time. So 2 books is incredible. We're working on our third. For those of you who may not have seen online, we are going to be reading Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. I believe this is going to be another great book for those of us who are working in organizations and we're trying to figure out how to lead up or lead down, how to make an impact in our organizations from a leadership standpoint. Definitely, I think it's going to be a great read. I've already started reading that book, and I'm liking what I'm reading so far. So I definitely think it's going to be a great asset to the TPE Book Club and to what we do as a group. And I'm looking forward to discussion about that as well. I just want to continue to just express my gratitude to those of you who watch the live, who watch the content that we put out. We have a segment we put out every single day called the Daily Dose of Leadership, where the aim is to get a little bit better each and every day. And we do that segment Monday through Friday. It comes on live at 4:30 via Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. 3 to 7 minutes worth of content that we put together that is based on the things that I've experienced in my 20 years of organizational experience in my business, and then also just the different entrepreneurial things that we do outside of my occupation. And I think that there's things that we discuss there that are applicable to you right here, right now, maybe applicable to you in the future. But I'm always a advocate for exposure, no matter what level you are at, because different things hit differently. It's just different phases of life. So that's that. And, we just recently put out a new episode of the TPE featuring Rodney Payne, a pastor from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He has also been directly mentored by Dr. John Maxwell. And this is someone who I feel like has a dynamic view on teamwork. Augmentation is a word that we talked about big time in our time together during the interview. And so if you guys want to check that out, it's currently live on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we're on Spotify as well. And so definitely want to just encourage you guys to check out that content, because I think that is some great content as well for you and your team. If you want to grow, that's just what the TPE is all about. We're here to push progress over perfection and helping curating experiences of others while coupling them with my own to help you guys pivot into your next. Okay. And so, we have a private Facebook community. If you guys are interested in joining that, just comment I want in, where I share resources and other commentary regarding the books that we canvassed during our studies. Right now, the resources for the first weeks of Atomic Habits are available on in that group. And also, I just released all of the resources for UOU in that group as well. So for today's study and all the previous 3 weeks worth of study, there is an accompanying supplement that you guys can have. And the aim for this, my goal would be is to try to provide 52 weeks worth of content for you guys to reflect. And not only when we're reading these books, just to read them, but to have something to refer back to as a benchmarking mechanism or a benchmarking system for us to be able to understand where we were during these points in time when we read these books to versus now where we are, as it relates to the progress that we've made or the progress that we intended to make. So without further ado, let's jump right into our recap and our last piece of UOU. And I just wanted to kind of give a general overview of what we've read in the book so far. Number one, section one, we're talking about, we all have a past, a present, but what are we doing to contribute to our future? I think Dr. Eric Thomas does a phenomenal job of illustrating some of the challenges that he had growing up, and where he's from. I believe in Michigan, and just talks about his bouts with homelessness, how he views his relationship with his biological father and the father that raised him, some of the educational challenges that he faced, how long it took him to get his bachelor's degree, some of the adversity that he went up against in terms of who he was and how he presented himself and the arenas that he wanted to play in. And I think everything that he faced from an adversity standpoint all revolved around his ability to create a standard and to uphold that standard. There's a few things he talks about in his book, and if you ever watch any of his speeches, he talks about that he has a standard of waking up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning, like that. Well, without fail, that's what he's going to do to get that meditation time, to get that alone time, to get that me time that he needs in order for him to be the most effective that he can be. Now, for some of us, that might not be a part of our standards. One of my things I used to hold on to people is like, people say they're not a morning person. You should take advantage of the morning time. But I now realize that, hey, it might not be, the morning might not be for everybody, but you have to figure out what standards work for you, and hold yourself accountable to them. And a lot of times in the beginning of this, you're going to probably look at standards that may be easier to follow, easier to adhere to. But the thing is, success does not come with easy activity. And I think there's a lot of people out there who feel like just because they bought a course, or just because they paid for a coaching program, or everyone's looking for the easy way out. And don't get me wrong, those supplements and those things are great when you put them to use and put them to action. But if you're not willing to do the work, if you're just looking for the like I said, looking for the easy way out, it's going to be very difficult for you to find the success that you're looking for. And so, with all that being said, this first section of this book really revolved around just talking about what are you going to do in order to consider your past and consider the things that you've been through as a stepping stone, but not letting that be a roadblock for you to get to the next step, to get to your next destination, to get to where it is that you want to be. I think he also talks about in this earlier section of the book is about being a CEO of your life, and being a CEO of your life is not only in the area of taking charge of your life. I think a lot of times people look at this as, I'm gonna own my life and I'm gonna go out there and get what's mine and what's due to me. But you also have to think about the accountability that you take for the actions that you do in your life, or the actions that you communicate when you're dealing with people in your family, you're dealing with people in your organizations, you're dealing with people in the community. I think a lot of times we forget and negate how we project ourselves or how we come across to other people who have the ability to help move us forward or push us back. So you want to also just consider, like, man, what things fall below my standard level, what things fall below where it is that I want to be and how I want to conduct myself. And you have to really take a serious look at what are you doing to help yourself be more accountable to the things that you do. Next would be, have you discovered what your superpower is? And Dr. Eric Thomas kind of walks you through the process of this discovery. It's, understanding what your why is, understanding what gets you excited and out of bed, understanding the activities that you enjoy doing and that you can spend a lot of time doing and not feeling stressed or tired or annoyed doing. Those things are nods towards what your purpose and what your why is. And then you couple that with the natural talent that you have, that you've been gifted with, that you've been blessed with. You definitely would be able to put yourself in a position to be able to get into miracle territory. And that's the kind of the next thing that was discussed in the book is, are you operating in your life in a capacity that puts you in a position to where you can receive the miracles you need to get to the next level. Dr. Eric Thomas's goal was to build ministry, build people, and he started doing that through motivational speaking. And so, if he wanted to be a motivational speaker, and at one point the goal was to be the number one motivational speaker in the world, how is he going to do that by not putting himself in position or in places where motivational speaking was happening? And I just love the way he kind of illustrated his method and how he did that. And he did that through showing up to events, not to be the speaker, but just to go to do the work, to serve. A lot of times we miss our blessing because we don't want to serve. We don't want to fold up chairs. We don't want to put up tables because either we think we're above or we think we have outgrown certain things there. But I definitely love the fact that the way he got in the door to rub elbows and to know people was to just get in the room and just to really put his superpower forward facing. There's moments in the book where he discusses there was times where he could have just went home and not followed or followed through or acted on his the impulse to exercise his superpower. But when he did those things, when he went the extra mile to be able to put himself in a position to receive a miracle, miracles happened. um, Sacrificing good for great. As a lot of times, and I think this is really hitting home for me, is a lot of times we're faced with a lot of different things that we want to do and we want to get out of life, but our capacity sometimes as individuals act as a magnet for other people to ask you to do things, and then you, out of some form of flattery or out of some form of commitment or obligation to help, you say yes to a lot of things that you might not have time for. I had to really personally, I had to come to a real crossroad to say, I have and then I'm not going to be, I'm not going to speak in particulars on this, but I have the capacity to put myself in a position for one thing. I know I do, but when I really take a step back and look at my family, look at what my family needs from me, look at what my job needs from me, look at what my other businesses that I've already agreed to need from me, I don't see the capacity for me to be able to do anything above what I'm currently doing. So definitely want to make sure that we're auditing all the time the things that we're accepting to be good and what are we sacrificing and being great while accepting those things. And so I'm just going to kind of cut through the field here for the sake of time to get to the last chapter. Is that, basically the last chapter is you, just the crutch of the book. I feel like this is kind of tying everything together, bringing us all the way back. Everything that was discussed in chapters 1 through 9. I think chapter 10 kind of really puts a bow on just this concept of you. I think Dr. Eric Thomas has done a great job of building us up to this point and really just focusing on the fact that no one's going to do this for you. No one's going to get up and take the classes for you at college. No one's going to get up and take the test for you. No one's going to get the certification for you. All these things that you need to be able to live out your superpower, put yourself in a position to be the best version of yourself that you can be, is on you. It's on you to be able to execute. It's on you to be able to get yourself to the next level. Of course, that surrounding yourself with people who help you and fill in the gaps where you are weak at. I think it's bittersweet when you have the ability to do multiple things because you negotiate time that you should be using towards the things that make you the greatest on things that you just know you could do, and you try to save some money or save some time. But just when you start to really operate within the fullness of your strength and you start to operate within the fullness of your superpower and start putting yourself in position for miracles, and using the term miracle not loosely here, but I think when we think about miracle, we think about these large events. Like, miracles don't have to be large events. It could just be literally being at the right place at the right time in front of the right individual for them to hear 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds of what it is that you do, and for them to start to buy into what you are wanting to get across. But you owe it to yourself to put yourself in miracle territory. You owe it to yourself to put yourself in alignment with what it is that you want to do. This entire book is really pumping us up and priming us up to go after the things that we've always said we wanted to do, to go after the things that we have been designed to go get, to really just go after the dreams and the goals that we have. So that's really all I have. And I know that's kind of short commentary on that particular topic, but that's really the main point of it, is that you are a business. You need to start conducting yourself like that. You need to start looking at yourself like a business, because in order for other people to take you seriously, you got to take you seriously first. In order for people to want to do business with you, you have to be a person. Have you done business with yourself? Have you established a standard, and have you been able to live up to that standard? And so this is what the ending of this is all about, is that are you ready to pay the bill that you owe yourself, in the form of the sacrifice of the good of the great, in the form of putting yourself in miracle territory. Sure, there's gonna be a lot of instances where you are going to probably want to do something else, spend your time going, hang out with your boys, hang out with your girls, but sure, you are due some form of recreational time or discretionary time, but realistically, how is that pouring into what it is that you want to do or where you want to go? So again, shout out to each and every one of you guys who read this book with us this month. In March, we're transitioning to Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Check my page. I have the schedule, which is it looks like this image back here, the schedule of how we're going to break down this book. And the next Monday, we're going to go over parts 1 and 2, which I believe is the first 6 chapters ish, or first 8 chapters of the book. But if you have the book, you can see it's segmented out into part 1, part 2, all the way down to part 8. I'm excited about that study as well, because we're iron sharpening iron. We're continuously getting better at this thing we call life, and we're just getting better, becoming better tools to become better contributors to our community. So until next time, TPE Book family, I sure hope to see you guys at 4:30 today on our live for the Daily Dose. Peace.